Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to Today in Bitcoin. Today is March 28th, 2017. This is the home of cryptocurrency, straight talk, no fancy setter graphics, just information. Before our honored guest is introduced, I wanted to say tomorrow, Wednesday, we will be back at 6 p.m. with Gabriel from Venezuela. He will be reporting on Bitcoin in Venezuela from Venezuela. So if you have questions, email me or you'll be able to post them there. We'll probably answer some questions in the chat then. So today I have a really special guest on. It's Olivier Janssens, and he is known for writing something about Bitcoin Classic, and he's going to explain what Bitcoin Classic is. But the other day, there was a tweet going around, and he had written something, and had he meant this for the public to see, or what exactly it was? What is Bitcoin Classic? Is there going to be another Bitcoin out there soon from these guys? So, Olivier, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Easy question is, tell us what happened the other day. What was that all about?
Okay. Do you know a little bit about the history of Bitcoin Classic in general and the whole block size debate?
Well, yeah, I actually do, but no, this is a good opportunity to tell the audience about that part of it, and then what happened the other day with what you wrote. So, quick summary, definitely. Yes, please share.
Very quickly, so Bitcoin Classic was launched start of 2016 with a small group of people. We quickly got developer Gavin and Reason on board and some other good developers. Our goal was pretty simple. At that time, there was an imminent block size issue, which is still very relevant today because we have the backlog now. So instead of well, at the conference, the big conference with the miners and the developers in Hong Kong in 2015, December 2015, we had there was a big meeting, and everyone expected to have a 248 block size proposal to be approved. But somewhere in the conference, all that changed around, and suddenly we seemed to go for segregated witness, which wasn't really near finished at that time, combined with with the lightning in the future, which was also very much up in the air. So at that point, I really got concerned, and I was thinking to myself, okay, but in a couple of months, the blocks are going to be full, and people are going to suffer a huge backlog. So what I did was got some people together, and we decided to make a simple proposal to do a block size increase from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes. And it was very basic, not very controversial in my opinion. And because Bitcoin Core wasn't really willing to list that in their software, we decided the only option we had was to start Bitcoin Classic. And we started Bitcoin Classic with a simple block size increase of 2 megabytes. That was the only big change, besides some small technical changes to make sure everything would go well. And at that point, we also made the same code commit to Bitcoin Core, because there was no incentive from us to sort of take over the leadership of the development. All we care about is Bitcoin, right? So we did that. And what happened then is we asked a couple of miners and a couple of companies, like, are you willing to get behind this? And very rapidly, we had pretty much the whole community, not the whole community, but a big part of the community, and I'm talking mostly about companies and miners supporting us, signing their support on the website. We listed them all nicely. We had, I don't know, 40 or 50 companies and miners and people on there. Unfortunately, at that point, it seemed some people, I think, got threatened, and some core developers, some Blockstream employees, I don't know what their thinking was, but what happened then is they went to a closed door, hush-hush, quickly scheduled meeting with the miners in Hong Kong, and they signed the famous Hong Kong agreement. This was around February or March, I think, which sort of made the miners commit to not run anything other than the Bitcoin Core compatible consensus system in the future. And this was, of course, a very bad thing for Bitcoin, in my opinion, because that's the moment when we had a sort of theocracy that was, not theocracy, but a technocracy that was created, right? It was basically the miners saying, we will do whatever Core decides to do. So you only have like one group of people in control of Bitcoin. Very unfortunate. I also know there's a lot of core developers which didn't agree with signing that agreement. So anyway, what happened then was the miners were waiting for segregated witness to be completed, and they were also promised to have a hard fork at the same time, probably 2 megabytes or very close to it. Yeah, so they promised us April, and we knew April was never going to be made. We also knew that the blocks were going to be full in April. So unfortunately, the blocks became full, and everyone now is suffering from these effects. You know, slow transactions, very high transaction fees, and only around November, December was segregated, which was finally done. But just to save any discussion about segregated witness, because I have my opinion about it, I'll now move to the next proposal, which is, it seems the community is in a big fight right now. There's many proponents that want Bitcoin segregated witness to activate. There's also many people that just want a block size increase and think segregated witness is a bad idea or should come afterwards or whatever they have as an opinion. The problem is that there's a huge infight, and all the other altcoins are really profiting from this. I'm really afraid now that if we continue this fight, that Bitcoin is going to self-destruct, right? Like there's going to be a civil war, which becomes an actual war. Now the miners have decided that we really need this block size increase, and some of them are going for unlimited. They almost have 50% of the hash power now. The other part of the community thinks this is a miner takeover, which in my opinion it completely is not, because there's also many people behind this. But both parties want to get their way, and no one wants to give in. I think from the big block size, people are more willing to compromise than because we went all the way down to 10 megabytes versus the core / small block size, where we haven't had any proposal to a compromise until today, because they claim they cannot really form a group to have that happen, which is of course very it's very difficult, of course, to ever talk to someone and have a compromise. But anyway, I proposed, I was writing an article yesterday, just an idea I had over the weekend after talking to some people, that maybe there's a more peaceful way to go about this. So the idea is that instead of fighting and hard forking or not hard forking and soft forking and the whole Bitcoin being destroyed from the inside, I said, why don't we just do merge mining? And I can shortly explain what that means. So merge mining means that a miner can just start mining some other coin, and they won't really have any downsides in doing that. So the other coin will get the full benefits of their hash rate, but the coin they were mining before won't really suffer from that. So it's like you can mine 2 coins for 1. It's for the same price, pretty much. You can mine 2 Bitcoins or Bitcoin and some other coin, whatever you want to call it. And I was thinking, if we use that and we just create Bitcoin Classic. I'm not speaking for Bitcoin Classic because I'm not like the sole representative of this coin, not coin, but development effort. We will have a lot of benefits because, okay, if we do this and we fork away from the network and we have most of the miners behind us, they get to mine Bitcoin Classic for free. Bitcoin Classic gets the whole mining community or the whole hash power behind it, so it's pretty much as safe as the other Bitcoin, which I will call Bitcoin Core for now. what would also happen is everyone's coins will get duplicated into Bitcoin Classic for free. So the users also don't have to take any risks. They can just keep coins in both systems. And if they want to sell, they want to sell. But that's up to them. If they don't do anything, they will have coins in both. And whatever the value of those is going to be, they get the combined value, right? So if Bitcoin Classic is worth $100, Bitcoin Core is worth $100, they would get $200. I mean, their total value would be $200. So I think I only see a win-win situation in this. And on top of that, you resolve the conflict, because I think a lot of the steam will be blown off, because yeah, you have the proponents of the big block side moving to Classic, and the proponents of Bitcoin Core, small block SegWit, they can just keep running Bitcoin Core. And I think if we are that much better as we think, I think the market will buy Bitcoin Classic, or the price will stay high, or at least to a nice amount. I would also like to think or hope that the other side has the same idea. So if they would ever fork, they probably would also think, as long as we get the developers to join us, and as long as we get that part of the community to join us, that part of the holders to join us, Bitcoin Core will keep the same value. So I think it could work in reverse. But this, of course, will have to be shown. And I'm only like a small voice with this idea right now. I don't know if it's going to pick up. I think the biggest issue we will face is historically the miners have always really wanted to have just one Bitcoin. And with Ethereum, it was split up in Ethereum and in Ethereum Classic. And the combined value now is much higher than it was before. That's also probably because of the infighting in Bitcoin that the price of Ethereum went up. So I'm not going to deny that. That's another reason to resolve it. For those that hold Bitcoin, I think it's good to resolve this. And I think there's only 3 options at this point. It's either like fighting and self-destructing, and maybe splitting in a full-on war. And I think the price is gonna drop a lot. The second one is to have this proposal implemented, so we just have the benefits for everyone. The only disadvantage is that you will have 2 Bitcoins, right? You will have Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Classic. And I think some people have a problem with that, but it's just a proposal. And the third option is that we somehow still find a common ground in this whole situation, and hopefully the miners and the developers will all come together. I know it's at this point probably naive and utopical, but whatever the word is, utopian.
Utopian.
Yeah. So.
All right.
But
Well, now I have. There's many questions that have come up in my head from what you just said, along that timeline. But beforehand, I want to remind, we have a lot of live viewers right now. Like this video, everybody. Pound that like button and share this video. Get some people on here, because this is an exclusive right here. You're only going to find this here at the Bitcoin Meister channel. But let's talk about your specific proposal. You just happened to be writing it down. It seems the way it's written, it seems like you had already communicated with exchanges, but you made it seem like it was more of a theoretical thing. Were you planning on sharing this post? Tell us about that aspect of this story. Okay, so I discussed it. Obviously, you can see I mentioned Bitfinex in there. So I how do you say it in English? Floated the idea, and it seems they were very interested. I also shared the document with a person that I thought I could trust to give some feedback. Unfortunately, 1 hour later, that document seems to be all over the internet. So it was very premature. I didn't even discuss it with Classic. The rest of the Classic team, I didn't discuss it with anyone in Unlimited. I didn't discuss it with any big block, small block persons to see what they thought. So it wasn't ready to go live, unfortunately, because I'm actually pretty happy it was in the state it was in, because I did a lot of edits on the documents over the hours before, and there was things in there that in the end what was leaked was sort of okay, right? But that's how it happened. So nothing's going to happen on June the 1st. There is no plan to list anything on June the 1st or hard fork on June the 1st. That was just the day you just made up, basically.
Yeah, it was a day I had in my mind that might be a good day. Of course, I had to write something, of course, and then the idea was to discuss it with other people. If there was enough traction, then we could agree on a different date. But this just was something I put in a document, which I thought might be not too far away in the future, but also not have to wait another half a year, right?
Now you mentioned Bitfinex again. Bitfinex is known; they're selling tokens right now, theoretical tokens based on if it's going to split into two.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that at one point, you or someone you know was in communication with Bitfinex about offering a third token.
Right.
Because this is what he's talking about here, and I think everybody understands, this is a third option right here. Now, at one point, this was the second option. You did not, in your timeline, you didn't explain how it went from being the second option to being the third option. Why did this other group of people all of a sudden become more prominent over you guys?
You mean Bitcoin Unlimited?
Yeah, yes, China Coin, whatever you want to call them. Yes, yes.
Those that's what you call China Coin? Okay.
many people do. A few.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard it in your show before, but I didn't make the link yet. But I obviously understand. Why did they get? Well, they existed before Bitcoin Classic, and we had Bitcoin XT, Bitcoin Unlimited, Bitcoin Classic. I think that was the order. Might be wrong, but why did they get traction after us? I think our goal was to really have the 2 megabyte thing resolved. There wasn't necessarily the goal to make this huge development team. There was some ideas around that, and also made another proposal where you could fund the developer, whatever team they worked for. I never really worked that out. I had to put a lot of time in it. I also have a lot of other jobs to do. So we have I think a pretty decent code base. But I think Unlimited came up with a big community. They have a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot of developers, but they have more active developers. They have more developers than Classic. And yeah, they have, I think mostly as a community, they have a lot of people that support the idea of emergent consensus. And I'm more conservative personally. I prefer, I would say a 8 megabyte hard fork would be more than enough for now, and we'll see what that gives. I don't think there's a rush. I also think that we should stick more to the Bitcoin white paper. I think what's happening right now with Bitcoin Core, with fee markets, with these blocks being full, which a lot of core developers apparently like. That's not Bitcoin. That's not the Bitcoin I signed up for when I started using Bitcoin in 2010, right? So
you have, then that was a good, that I see the transition that went on, but you guys are still out there, and this was an opportunity. What happened? This stroke of luck that your paper got, that wasn't meant to be published, was published. Has really I think it's starting to inform the Bitcoin community as a whole that, yeah, there's a third option, there could be a fourth, a fifth, a sixth option, and that this option is quite peaceful. You seem to be, you just want cooperation, you want to move on. So what type of feedback have you gotten from this since the leak? Since this, on Reddit, I was amazed. There was all sorts of positive feedback. But what type of...
I love your name, Friendly Fork. I think that's a great name for it. It's also, I really had the idea in mind to make this a friendly fork, right? I think it's a gesture you make from one side. Say, look, we're gonna go away. I think it's a big gesture because I think your chances of succeeding are a lot less than just inheriting the current coin. I have to admit that, of course, it's going to be much more difficult. It's another case against a soft fork, by the way, because if you're against a soft fork, the only thing you can do yourself is hard fork away from the network, which puts you at a huge disadvantage. So another debate about soft fork, that's for another day. But anyway, this also sort of proves that anyone can hard fork at any point in time. I mean, the whole story where, yeah, if you hard fork, upgrade, the network might split in two. We can split into tomorrow if you want, right? It's unrelated. So a couple of points I want to make on the side. But yeah, I think it's a very friendly proposal, and I think the community, especially from the core side, from the small block side, if you can call it that, they were very positive. Most of the people I talked to, I sort of predicted that. I think that the opposition is more on the other side because they don't want to lose the traction they have going right now, which is, of course, predictable too. I think everyone there still believes that they're gonna get a majority of the hash power behind them, and that they will win. And I think both parties feel the same way. So we're not out of that conflict yet. So I think this might, even if they keep fighting, this might occur as a third solution, right? Like, let them fight, and we'll do this in the meantime. We'll see what happens. So it's always an option.
You know, the thing is, I think the meantime will end immediately. I think if you guys do this, and I urged you publicly to, you know, get your team together and to do it as soon as possible, because I think it will just end everything. I think people will see, well, look at this. These guys did it peacefully. Here's the option. If you like this, go over there. And I think it'll end the battle. But sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry.
Maybe it won't. I think there's still a lot of people in Unlimited and the big block side that think the original Bitcoin is what they have a right to. And I personally also think that original Bitcoin should just stay Bitcoin. In the ideal world, we just find the third option, which is, well, my third choice that I presented is that we all sort of find some common ground. Also, I know it's utopian at this point, but that we still remain one Bitcoin. That's, of course, the ideal, right? I think nothing can beat that. It will be perfect for the price. We get back our first mover advantage. We implement all these great features, and maybe we can beat Ethereum, you know, because it's really catching up to Bitcoin. But besides that, if that doesn't happen, I think this might indeed present the third option. I don't know if this will really solve the whole debates right away. I think that's also something which is unpredictable. But I also need miners behind me, and this is very difficult. What I mentioned before, I think it's pretty much impossible because none of the miners I know, or from what I heard them saying, is that they won't have a split Bitcoin. It was their biggest fear not to do a hard fork, is to have two different coins. So if I would go to them now and tell them, look, you know, only benefits, win-win for everyone, you can mine it for free, the fact that it's going to be called Bitcoin is for them a problem.
Well, there are other ones named Bitcoin out there, and we're going to discuss that. There's a question I have about that. It's very interesting. Yeah, I know, but it's I understand. Now, has anyone? So you're saying that you guys really, because you don't have a miner behind you, it is more of a theoretical thing right now. You're not really ready to go tomorrow.
It's purely theoretical, but it was a solid proposal I had in my head that I want to discuss with other people, including the miners. I think it's also very unfortunate that it got leaked prematurely, because it's good to get the feedback without really committing to it. So I agree that that's a positive side to it. But on the downside, I caught Classic off guard, I caught Unlimited off guard, I caught small big blockers off guard without really making any adjustment to the proposal. So it is what it is now, and I think that's all overcomable if they would all be behind it. But I don't get the feeling right now that it's the case. And even if I would tomorrow decide to go on my own and call it Bitcoin Original or something, I would still need the miners to join. And out of all these challenges, this is the number one biggest of them all. The rest is all very easily to solve, but the miner is a big issue.
Well, maybe by being on a show like this, we'll get some momentum. People will put some pressure on the miners. And I think it is important that you just got it out there, that this option even exists. So onto a related question. Has anyone else from the Bitcoin media contacted you to clarify everything, to talk about this story? Because I think this is a huge story.
Yeah, but there was some media interest. The only issue is, of course, that it wasn't really a release I made, right? It wasn't... it was sort of a draft that got leaked, which is completely different than Bitcoin Classic actually saying, okay, we're going to do this. So I think it's 1% of what it would have been.
Well, the excitement was there because it was kind of a secretive, I think, and I think it made a really interesting splash,
Mhm.
and now that it's out there, people are interested. I mean, the option that you present in this friendly fork that's really friendly for the regular Bitcoin holder is they get a free coin
Yeah.
just from holding because they already own Bitcoin. This is kind of like a new paradigm almost, a new way of thinking of Bitcoin. Like, hey, you own Bitcoin, you never know when someone else is going to fork it off and you're going to get this free a free coin. And I think it's almost it's an incentive for people
To
once
buy
they
them.
hear about that aspect of it that they'll be very interested in it and want to hear more and put the pressure on the miners
Yeah.
to do
I
it.
think the price will go up. If this ever happens, people will go buy Bitcoin because they want to be in Bitcoin before they get 2 Bitcoins, right? Some other people might make a case, yeah, but when you have a split Bitcoin, the price is going to go down because it's no longer a united Bitcoin. This is really, I think, unpredictable what's going to happen. I can't really tell you what's going to happen. But I think if you have a Bitcoin Classic or whatever it would be, and a Bitcoin Core, and people really have these options, the fighting at least will stop. And maybe that will be enough to increase the price. And in the end, I think it's inevitable, and I think it's also positive for the market that when you go to the store in the future, it's not going to say Bitcoin accepted, but it's going to say cryptocurrency accepted, right? So this is going to happen anyway. I think there's way too many altcoins going, Bitcoin being the market leader. That's always going to change. I think so, or it would have to be doing a really good job at really having all the features the altcoins are trying to do. And right now it doesn't look like that. But if it can really get that first mover advantage by inventing and stay on top of everything, then of course, yeah.
Well, again, I think there's a big difference between a contentious fork and a friendly fork. And we've all been through the scenarios in our head, what happens at the end of a contentious fork, and that 2 Bitcoin are not better than 1 Bitcoin after a contentious fork. But after a friendly fork, I believe 2 Bitcoin, it's up to the people to decide what the real Bitcoin is at that point. And the 2 coins are better than one, not two. Maybe one won't be considered a Bitcoin, whatever. 2 coins are better than one. In a contentious debate, though, 2 Bitcoins are not better than one. That's my stand on this and why I think it's a worthy experiment.
I think I agree with that.
At the same time, do you think it's possible? I think this is so appealing that some fourth group could come out of nowhere and just take advantage of the situation and create a forked Bitcoin that maybe it's just a complete copy of the China coin. Maybe it has the exact same. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen from now that this genie is out of the bottle, this idea is out of the bottle. I mean, I think it would be very, very much worth anyone's while to create a forked Bitcoin at this point and be the first mover in this friendly fork movement and just see how it goes. There's nothing to lose, and it could finish off this debate that's going on too. So do you think it's possible that, I mean, has any outsider contacted you like, hey, I'm a businessman, I'd buy up some miners and I do this? I mean, there's some things that could happen here.
Yeah, you were just saying. There was an initiative before. I also mentioned before that you can split classic. Not classic. That you can split Bitcoin today. You don't have to wait for a fork, right? You can do it at any point. There was also BTC Fork initiative, which has sort of been put on hold now because I think they're waiting on Bitcoin Classic. So it's not completely new. I think the part that was new is merge mining, but it might have been said before. I never saw it. So that's, I think, the where it becomes a win-win for everyone, right? Like the miners mining both coins with the same hash power, which would give both coins a lot of value, in my opinion. And that combined with everyone gets the same Bitcoins. That's obvious, in a fork that would happen anyway. I think maybe there might be a SegWit coin, right? If this continues to go, maybe why doesn't SegWit do the same thing? And it's all possible.
So I have something that you brought that we were both talking about earlier that just came back to my head instead of putting pressure on the miners, as I think they're a stubborn group, something that could, to further your cause, I think people out there that are watching this, and you and your team, whoever supports you, should go back to Bitfinex and say, you know what, there is a third option out there. Offer a third token. Let the people vote now to see how popular this option would be. Because again, as we said before, Bitfinex is offering 2 different tokens based on the scenarios that could happen now. And right now the overwhelming is with the SegWit people, with the core people. But maybe if this was thrown in there, it would, it would add a twist, and the people over at Bitfinex could make some money selling tokens too. So what do you think about? Are you going to go back to Bitfinex, or?
I think that's a great idea, and that's also why I want to list the coin as soon as possible. I think this is exactly what we needed to have some traction going and to convince the miners. So it would indeed be listing the coin and the miners would see, okay, if the coin's at $500, I think they have a pretty big incentive to mine that, right? So the only thing is that, the coin, of course, the price would be usually influenced by decision of the miners. So if one miner comes on board, I think, and it's like a 20% of the network miner, I think the price will go up substantially of Bitcoin Classic, or whatever would be the name of this coin, right? So I think it's a good way to sort of get the prediction market going. It's just not Bitfinex we could do it. Could be anyone, Polonix, anyone that's also in this business. And I think it's a great idea, even if you don't make a document connected to that, right? Like you just explain the 5 options, what they all would be, like a SegWit coin, a Bitcoin Classic, and have people bid on that. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because I want to point out to all the viewers here that both of us are really on different sides of the block size debate. I am with the core team here, and I like what they're doing. But at the same time, I want there to be friendly options out there. I think you deserve to state your case, and that I will be willing to help you in any way to get you guys on Bitfinex to have a token so that people can discuss this, because I think this is the path to the end of this debate. And for me, when the debate is over, Bitcoin will go up in price so much and everyone will be happy. So even though we don't agree on some core tenets here, I want to help you. And I think it's important that everyone see that on the show we have different people with different opinions can come on and everything. So it's awesome to have you here, and I'm glad we can, people who don't agree on everything can come together on something like this. I think this is an example for everyone out there, because some people are like, oh, we should compromise, and this is not really a compromise. This is like another option out there.
Yeah, it's not really compromise. I think it's really going your own way and in a friendly way, right? It's a friendly divorce, if you can call it that, instead of a fight divorce where like the home gets destroyed and the furniture gets split in half. So yeah, I agree. It's a much more friendly option. I have a question for you. Like, would you be willing to do the same from your end?
Would I do what from my end?
To say, okay, we core had enough. Okay, they can do whatever. They can go back to the original Bitcoin ways, unlimited block size, and we're just going our own way. We're going to do SegWit fee market, and we're going off.
No, I mean, obviously, I don't represent core in any
no,
way.
Of course. Like as a core supporter, right?
I'm not a technical guy, but yeah, I again, in terms of the Bitfinex market, just because all these people are trying to say, well, my side is right. I have this poll out there. There's nothing that's scientific out there. It's even close to being scientific. I think what Bitfinex offers is something that gets toward that direction. So I want the truth to come out. So I'd be willing to give 5 options out there. Of course, yeah. So I think freedom of a friendly fork is the right of any coin and member of a community to do. A friendly fork is something that is just part of the nature of cryptocurrency, and people don't understand that yet. I I believe in that. I don't believe in starting wars, starting contentious forks and threatening to squash someone out once you win. I think that's to do. I mean, they're free to do it, but I'm gonna go against you when you say stuff like that, when you come out in a warlike attitude. But if you want to do something friendly, and that's everyone's right in the cryptocurrency space to fork their coin any way they know how, and to get the technical ability, but to do it in a friendly, not to take over, but just to give that option out there. This is not about conquering. It's about giving options too. So I'm all about giving options to people. I'm not about conquering people.
That's the problem with the current miners. I think they're indeed extremely aggressive, exactly to avoid a split coin scenario, and that's why I'm also sort of worried that they will not get behind this. I also hope that if let's say 20% of the mining power think this is a great idea and their supporters are going to start merge mining, that the other 80% is not going to say, okay, let's destroy these other 3 options right away. Like that would be terrible. And I think everything has the right to exist. And yeah, I think it's a great idea to even take it further and have a couple of options listed and just put the money where your mouth is and see what wins. And that's also an initiative to actually do it. You don't even need a paper written out. Float the idea.
Well, let's get that friendly fork hashtag going, maybe, and just get that term out there. And all of us should, if anyone from Bitfinex is listening, hey, contact me, contact Olivier. I mean, I think it'd be great for the Bitfinex business. I mean, we can talk about that some more, but I do have 2 more questions for you real quick here. In your paper that you wrote, you mentioned, you even went as far as what the exchange symbol would be. And you said BCL, I think, BCL was a possibility, but XBC was. And this is going to answer some people's questions.
Crazy.
So you said XBC. Well, little did you know there already is an XBC.
I didn't know. I only looked at the historical one from the 70s. I didn't know there was like an altcoin XBC. The price,
so
oh my God.
Tell us the name of that, what it's called, and what has happened in the last few days to it ever since you brought up that ticker.
Yeah, it went from it's called Bitcoin Plus, right? And it went up to, I don't know, it was 0 point whatever, and now it's, how much is it now?
Unbelievable rise. It's shocking.
I couldn't believe it.
That happened to Bitcoin Dark also. And I don't think it's a coincidence. At the same time, it kind of shows the potential of what might happen if a legitimate movement like Bitcoin Classic does this type of thing.
And those coins are really, they didn't split off with the full ledger behind them, right? This is just project from scratch. It's not a copy. So you don't even have the full benefit of the mining power behind you. You don't have to build full benefit of the whole user base, which is going to be huge because everyone is going to be like, oh, I got free coins. How do I access them on my wallet, right? They're going to be like, make me an app, right? Or at least adjust your app so I can also access my free Bitcoin Classics. So I think the traction of this will be crazy. And I think it's going to be a great way for people to make extra money.
Yeah, so I think that there's now, don't buy those other coins, people, because they went up so much. It's insane, but it's a peek into the psyche of the cryptocurrency person out there, that there is this demand for all of this to be over with and for all of us to be friends. And if I want another thing called Bitcoin, I'll buy another thing called Bitcoin if it's not trying to take me over. I think it's a little peek into that demand. So that was a very interesting aspect. So the question, again, that people, I don't know if you even have an opinion on this, but are there any altcoins out there that you like or that you currently hold or that currently interest you? Because you are a technical guy. You know a lot of about this kind of stuff. So any altcoins stick out in your mind that interest you or that you own that you'd like to give shout outs to?
Well, I think Ethereum stands a chance right now. All the signs point towards it. I also took sort of part in the Ethereum pre-sale as a joke. Not a joke, but I was like, okay, it looks like an interesting project, but I forgot about them a long time ago. And then suddenly I realized, oh my God, this price is going crazy. You know, maybe I should check how much I have and what's going on there. So it's pretty crazy. But I have to say, like, Bitcoin is still my number one love. I'm not ready to give it up yet. That's why I'm still here. Otherwise, there's been so much drama. You know, I could have left a long time ago, but I still feel that the original Satoshi white paper is the way forward. That's why I also strongly believe in, you know, block size limits, of course, but that's back to the debate. But I think the original Bitcoin still has huge potential, and I really hope that it's gonna win. But we'll see. And if not, so be it. And then may the other best guy win. I think the most important thing is that cryptocurrency is out of the bag now, and it's gonna be great for humanity anyway. I just hope that, my biggest fear is that Bitcoin will get a fight to a level where it's going to be so ugly that the regulators are going to have an excuse to step in. So as long as that doesn't happen, I'm okay. You know, I'll deal with it. I'll try to buy the right coins at the right moment. We'll see what happens. But for now, it's still Bitcoin.
Well, on that note, it has been a great interview. This has just been a pleasure to have you on the show today, Olivier. And hopefully we'll be in touch. And is there any way people can contact you? Anything you'd like to add before we go off the air tonight?
You can contact me on Twitter. Maybe you can paste it somewhere. Olivier Janssens.
It's below, actually. The link to his Twitter is below already. But and any other closing thoughts on your part?
No, I'm very open to feedback. Anything positive, negative, constructive, hopefully. I'm very willing to listen, and yeah, maybe it is really is the way forward. So I'm really hoping something will happen. I really hope we're not gonna go to war for real, and I hope that we either have a compromise of some sort that all the parties will like, or that we hopefully do this instead, and we'll split amicably. You know, that would be the best for everyone. And you totally coined the term friendly fork, so you deserve the credit for that one. I think it's an awesome term.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna use it here, and hopefully it'll gain some momentum, and hopefully Bitfinex, that's the first target here for the friendly fork, for them to put a third option, at least a third option out there to get some feedback, so people know that this exists. Well, again, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Please like this video and share this video. We had a blast. Contact Bitfinex. Follow Olivier on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I will chat with you guys afterwards in the chat. We had so many live viewers tonight. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.